Pro wrestling.
Woo!
Pro wrestling means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. To some people, it's trash.
It glorifies the very worst that we as a people, athletes and Americans can be.
To other people, it's treasure.
Everything about that is fantastic.
To me, pro wrestling is American culture.
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
To me, pro wrestling is the greatest American art form. Is it sport? Is it entertainment? Or is it sports entertainment?
Sports entertainment.
It's all of the above. Pro wrestling is the greatest thing ever invented and the stupidest thing you could ever imagine.
Flip super kick! That shit ain't going out, kid!
Pro wrestling can be anything, and this causes a lot of division amongst its fans. But at its core, professional wrestling is about telling a story. And that story is the story of a fight.
In professional wrestling, the story is basically, why are these guys mad at each other and what are they fighting for?
Those eyes lost Elizabeth.
And with the framework of the story being a fight and what causes it, that actually allows for an infinite number of ways to tell that story, both inside the ring and outside of it. Pro wrestling is a lot like the movies, or as some people refer to it.
What is it that you kids call it, cinema?
The reality is, pro wrestling at its best is cinema. It is live theater. It's music, it's comedy, it's drama. It's everything that you could imagine and more. It's politics, for better or for worse. Professional wrestling for years, and still to a degree, is a combination of sports, performance art, and method acting. Under the concept of kayfabe, reality and fiction was, and ideally still is, violently blurred. Kayfabe was so fiercely protected for so long that grown men would put themselves at risk of jail time or personal ruin to protect the business. For years, many pro wrestlers would never even break character or even remotely acknowledge that any part of their business was fake.
I think this is fake.
You think it's fake? What's that? Is that fake? Huh? What the hell's wrong with you? That's open hand slap, huh? You think it's fake?
Does that fucking feel fake, huh? Does that feel fake? Does it?
And you might be saying to yourself, Casey, wrestling is fake. But it isn't. It's more predetermined. And us fans, we don't care, because so is every other form of scripted entertainment. In reality, the terms predetermined or scripted entertainment don't even remotely do it justice. Pro wrestling is more of an improvisational art form like music or dance, with many of the best matches being called in the ring, based on the mood or emotion of the crowd. Another failure of the term predetermined is that no outcome in wrestling is truly guaranteed. There's so much that goes into being a good wrestler that there's barely any room for error, and disaster can strike at any time.
So not only are we worried about a spine injury here, but we also have to be worried as sort of the follow-up, if there's no spine injury, about injury to those peripheral nerve roots as they've exited Paige's neck.
The fact is, anytime a wrestler steps in a ring, they are risking their lives in a very real way to tell a physical story. Artistically speaking, there's no other art form out there that more consistently requires the artist to put their lives at risk for their art.
Oh, and he's smiling. He is smiling.
Mick had basically just had two really bad car accidents and still had the fortitude to get back to his feet and say, we're going to finish this. I mean, that's just another cut of human being right there.
And as history has shown, the long-term risks for pursuing professional wrestling as an art form range from paralysis and early death to suicidal and homicidal madness.
Well, the wrestling world in shock today. Former champion Chris Benoit found dead in his Atlanta home along with his wife and young son. Police now treating the discovery as a double murder-suicide.
Even at the point where professional wrestling is more mainstream than it has been in over 3 decades, professional wrestlers do not get enough respect in the mainstream as artists and athletes, and they really should. This is because professional wrestling, like many other American folk art forms, were not allowed to be respected in the mainstream in the same way that other forms of entertainment were. It was fake after all. It was trash culture.
These men are little more than muscle-bound B-movie actors in dinner theater in spandex, where the guy with the biggest biceps, loudest mouth, and highest rating gets to wear the championship belt. while you eat your Cheetos in your underpants.
In truth, professional wrestling is very real, and it is our culture. It is proven in many ways to be the defining form of American entertainment, producing some of the most memorable characters, storylines, and moments that you'll never see anywhere else. Pro wrestling is duly the most real and absurdist reflection of American society, and now that it is truly globalized, of the entire world. And that is why, to me at least, professional wrestling is the greatest American art form. Thanks for watching.